Hey everyone! What's up? Welcome to the GitHub Open Source Friday stream. Yay, we've got so many of you here already. Good morning to all those people who are over in Singapore. Good afternoon to all the Aussies, and happy Friday as well. And then good Thursday evening for all of those tuning in from the US. How are you all? We've got Pink Camp, B Dougie, Bob WebDev, good to see you again. Lovely to see so many people. Yes. Oh, I'm glad you like the cool overlays and stuff. As B Dougie said, I did make them. So yay, who's excited for today's Open Source Friday stream? I know I am super pumped to have our amazing guest on the show today. Who's excited? I'm always excited. Any of those of you who tune into these streams are always excited about everything. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome in our guest for today. We have the amazing Paul Cobblestone from Supabase. How are you, Paul?
Hey, Mish. Nice. Thanks for inviting me. It's good to be here. I see my name is Cobblestone as well, with 2 B's.
Oh, yep.
It's supposed to be with P's.
I know, I just noticed that. I can fix that. We can do fixes on the fly here.
Some live fixing. That's right. It happens all the time.
Some live fixing. Why not? Look at this. How's this? Yeah. Yeah. Is it working? Yes.
C-O-P-P.
I got it.
Nice,
no, it's all good. It's there. I was like, okay. I couldn't see behind what I was typing. V Dougie's put in the chat, git commit amend. Shots fired.
Nice. Okay.
So how are you today, Paul, after me having misspelt your name?
Yeah, that's right. As I say, it happens all the time. So actually, a lot of people don't even know my full name is Cobblestone because everyone calls me Cobble. So people are surprised when I actually say stone on the end of my name. But yeah, I'm doing good.
It's like, where did the stone come from? Hey, also, you didn't pick it up when we did the video test before as well, so I'm not taking all the credit for missing that one.
That's true. Yeah, my bad.
I love it. Some of the people in the chat are having Octocat hoodie FOMO. So if you like these hoodies, you can actually get a lot of our swag on the merch store. Most people don't know we actually have a GitHub merch store. So check it out at GitHub merch store. Now, Paul, you're calling in from Singapore, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Woohoo! How is it in lovely? Is it sunny there still? I just feel like Singapore's always sunny.
It's always sunny. It's like a tropical paradise. It's basically, if you want to come somewhere where it's eternally summer, that's basically Singapore. So, yeah, I've been here now 2 years. It's pretty cool. It's a nice place to hang out. I originally moved to Southeast Asia for Malaysia, and then Malaysia is kind of like Singapore on hard mode, and Singapore is just like really easy. Everything's convenient, and it's a cool place to live. Yeah.
I feel like you're a gamer, right?
Not anymore. I'm just a startup guy now, but yeah, I used to be.
Startup guy.
Well, you got no time for games, unfortunately. When you do startups, they consume your life. But,
I think you can still fit it in somewhere there, right?
Actually, there's one that we've been trying to find because we're fully remote, our team. We've been trying to find like a game that all of our team can play together. Maybe you've got some suggestions. Where we can all...
I might have some suggestions, but also I'm keen to see if the chat has any. We've got the chats going off today, which is great. So if anyone has some suggestions for Paul on a really good, I'm assuming, multiplayer game to play with your team. Everyone's just saying Among Us. That's because everyone is streaming Among Us right now.
Okay.
I actually got asked to play that tonight on stream, and I'm like, let's see how we go. But one that you might like, which I just find absolutely hilarious. I played it once on stream, and I was literally on the floor in stitches of laughter because it was hilarious. It's called Totally Reliable Delivery Service. It's a game where you have to go around and deliver stuff, but the physics, and you like it too because it's a startup-y indie type game, and the physics in the game is just hilarious. You can have multiple people playing in the game at once, and you just get on voice chat, and it's just literally an entire thing of laughs. Like,
Okay.
so I always say to people, if you ever are feeling down, go back and watch that VOD of that stream, and you'll feel instantly better. So
Nice. Okay,
that's
cool.
my top tip for you today. Now you're here to talk about not video gaming, even though we all love video gaming. Supabase. So you're
Yes.
obviously repping the brand. Love the little brand rep there.
Yeah.
Got to get the
Can you
brand
see it?
out there. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
I
This
love
is the
it.
first T-shirt. We're trying to print as many as we can to dish them out for Hacktoberfest. That's the
Ah,
thing.
right. Well, we'll get into that. Well, let's would you like to tell us first of all? Let's go to what is Supabase for those people here who don't know exactly what Supabase is.
Yeah, which is probably a lot of people because we're quite new. So Supabase is an open source Firebase alternative. So we're basically building the features of Firebase, but we use open source tools. And it's a little bit different from most open source. So we try to use existing open source tools wherever we can, if they're enterprise grade. If we don't think they'll scale so well, we can't find anything that will scale as well, then we make it ourselves and we open source it on MIT or Apache 2. So yeah, that's what we are in a nutshell.
And it looks like we got a few people in the chat being like, Supabase, woot woot. So some people do know what it is. It looks really cool. So let's jump over to the website really
Sure.
quickly. You can chat me through a little bit of this stuff. So we've got, obviously you said it's Firebase alternative. You've got it in alpha by the looks of it, and I've been watching a few of your YouTube videos on the alpha releases.
Yes.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the process on how you've got to where you are today, like how old is Supabase and where you're going next.
Yeah, we started in January this year. So much.
So super new.
Yeah,
Really new.
it's really new. The first thing that we built was this real-time engine on top of Postgres. Actually, we launched that last year on. We open sourced it on GitHub last year, and it was quite popular. So we then in January decided to build the business, but we spent a bunch of time talking to people, talking to developers, and a lot of them in around January, February just decided that, oh, that's cool. You got dark mode on your.
Oh yeah,
GitHub.
I can turn it off if we like. So
No, leave it on.
I
It's cool.
will leave it on. A lot of people asked about it on stream. So this is not an official dark mode for GitHub. This is it's called Dark Reader. I use it in Chrome and I absolutely love it because I've just blinding eyes are not fun. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God, that's very cool. Yeah, so in January we talked to a lot of developers, and most of them were saying, "Yeah, I love Postgres." And then we'd say, "Well, what are you using?" And they'd say, "Well, Firebase." And we'd say, "Why?" Because it's just so easy. So that actually became our first task, to make Postgres as easy to use as Firebase. And then we just started clipping on a lot of the functionality that you get out of Firebase. It's not a one-to-one mapping. So actually, this is a good. So this is an architecture drawing of what you get out of. I'll start from the bottom up. So what you get. So you get Postgres. We give you a full. You basically sign up to our platform. It's hosted. When you sign up, you start a project. We give you a full Postgres instance, not like a schema or anything. It's literally a full server with Postgres level access. Then you can modify the database. And then the first one to point out is Postgrest, which is an amazing tool if you've never heard of it. It basically introspects your Postgres database, and it builds sort of an automatic API, kind of like GraphQL, but RESTful, and it operates very low level inside Postgres itself, built with Haskell. So we actually hired one of the maintainers of that. Then the other one is the real time. That one we built in-house. So that's the one that I mentioned that we built last year and open sourced. And what that is an Alexa server. We use Phoenix, and it actually listens to the Postgres replication stream. So we make Postgres kind of think that it's replicating to another database. We translate the binary stream, the write-ahead log, and then we blast it out over WebSockets. So you can have many sort of connections into the real-time server, and they can listen to the changes in the database. Then the other one is the GoTrue instance. That is actually built by Netlify, and it's like an authentication server, which gives sort of third-party logins. So we kind of built the functionality of Firebase Auth using both go-true and Postgres row-level security. So those two combined kind of give the Firebase auth. And then we've got Kong and PG API. So Kong stitches everything together. It's like an API gateway. It's pretty cool. It's got all these plugins and things that you can add to it. And then PG API we're developing in-house. So that's basically exposing the functionality of Postgres over a RESTful API. And that's a bit of a sort of long-term play. When we bring out our API, we want people to be able to, over the RESTful API, add columns, add tables to their database. So, on the fly, you can start adding tables and making changes to your database.
Yeah, this is really cool. We've got some people in the chat saying, "Yay, nullify! I have commits and go true." So this is what I love about open source and the community is like you do stuff like this and then you find out that the community is here anyway. So it's great. So speaking of community, feel free to keep chatting amongst yourselves in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat all the time, so if you'd love to ask any questions, mostly of Paul, but even of myself as well, if you'd like to ask any questions of Paul about Supabase, drop them in. We'll get to as many of them as we can. I also wanted to commendate you on your README. I love seeing really good README files. I actually, I started doing this on stream the other day. Literally just yesterday, saying if you have a really good README file and really good documentation, it makes it really easy. And just you showing us this like the architecture and talking through it and having all the links, it's just so it just looks easy and nice to use. And it's one of the things we do when we talk to new contributors, say for example, which we'll definitely get to, is one of the things to look out for when you're contributing to a project is, do they have a good README file and do they have really good documentation? Because if you're contributing to a project, you want to know what you're working on. So we will get into that, but it's now been, January? Where's the year going? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, October. It's about 8-9 months in to the project so far. What's the next phase for Supabase?
Yeah, so we actually started developing the hosted platform around May. So it's been in development for around 6 months now. And then we just went through YC, actually, the first remote batch, which was pretty interesting doing that from Singapore. Then now, so actually we had this really funny situation. Basically, when we got into YC, we changed the, like on the website, if you see on the landing page, it just says backed by Y Combinator. We did that one day. That one there. And then literally the next day, someone put us on Hacker News, and it just went. Actually, if you go to the blog,
blog at the top here.
Blog, and then the Supabase auth.
Yep.
So we had this launch.
Oh.
Basically, these are all the launches on Hacker News, the dev tool launches on Hacker News ranked by upvote. And so what happened was we got onto YC, we put the badge on our website, and then a Cloudflare engineer, put us on Hacker News, and it just went nuts. But the good thing is, everyone in the chat was just asking for auth. So we just knew exactly what we had to build. We didn't have any auth at that stage, so we just spent all of Y Combinator building auth. So we're just wrapping up the final, third-party provider logins, stitching it up. And then our big push now until December is to move from alpha to beta, which is just locking down our APIs, making them very stable, making our hosted platform very stable. Security, performance, and stability are the three focuses until December.
Yeah, and what's it like when you launch something? Obviously, you're very fortunate to launch and then just get picked up by Hacker News and get all that feedback from the community. How did that shape and change? Obviously, you've figured out that you needed auth, but how does that shape and change a product when you can get the community involved on a scale like this?
Yeah, I think largely when you're starting a project, you probably know what you want to build and you have a good idea. It depends on the project, of course. Sometimes you're doing a startup without an idea. But in this case, we kind of know all the features that we might build. Some of them are exactly the same as Firebase and some are not. But it does push you down this priority path. So at that stage, we're actually we're about to start building integrations. So, migrate your database from Firebase or migrate in from another service. But instead, we just parked all of that and we just, as a team, focused on doing auth. So the community contribution is largely around priorities. And we've got this awesome thing where we just, on Stripe, if you go into the dashboard, they've got this little feedback thing up the top right whenever you're in your Stripe dashboard. We just did the same thing where, you can put a feedback, you can just write a note and it immediately comes into our Slack. And so that is actually a big driver of what we need to develop, because people are actually pretty good at putting just little bits of feedback, spotting bugs that we need to fix.
So that's once you go into Supabase and you log in, you'll see it on your dashboard?
Exactly.
Obviously, I don't have a login. I'm sorry yet.
That's all right. No worries.
So if anyone wants to provide feedback, you can help shape the future of Supabase. Which is really cool. Now, something I want to talk to, because it comes up on these open source streams, it also comes up in my open source streams on my channel a fair bit, which is how do you balance now obviously you're a startup and you've gone through Y Combinator as well. How do you balance the business side of it with the open source side of it? Now, obviously open source means that a product is free and open to the community can use it, they can also contribute to it. So how do you balance that out?
Yeah, it's a good question. It kind of depends on. So first of all, not all open source tools should necessarily be commercial open source tools, right? But we, as a company, want to be commercial first. Our goal is to actually try support as many open source communities as we can. So to do that, we actually have to have a commercial focus. So the balance largely more isn't so much around getting around to focusing on business versus community. It's more around stabilizing everything that we can so that the community can come in and be a driver of the next features, so extra libraries and things. The business, in terms of the focus, is largely just handled by me. We've got a kick-ass team of developers, and then I will try to do all the I will sort of shield them from any of the commercial stuff, all the fundraising and things like that. I'll just try to handle myself.
Sounds good. Now I've got the screen up here. I did want to do this off screen, so for those people who are, asking about stuff, but I had to log into my account. So here we go. We've got the Supabase there. I'm just making sure you see it. And if you click this feedback on this page, so this goes to Slack, does it?
Yeah, we've got a Slack channel and yeah.
How's
That's
that?
it. That's it. We've got it.
You've already got it, have you?
Yeah, we've already got it.
Things are quick.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to have, support for Supabase in my projects, what types of things would I be using it for? How many projects can I have at the same time running with Supabase?
Yeah, so at the moment you can, you basically have organizations, then projects is the hierarchy. So if you go, for example, new project, it'll ask you to do a organization first. Mm-hmm. You can have, I think it's 2 organizations and 3 projects within each organization. That is, yeah.
Paul.
Nice.
Why is it Kiwi, by the way? Because your handle
I'm from New Zealand.
Oh,
you can't tell that?
No, I mean, I should have picked it up being an Aussie, shouldn't I? But,
yeah, exactly.
Well, hello from the other side of the pond.
Yes. Yeah. So, you can have, but this is only because it's free at the moment. We'll reduce the restrictions as soon as we bring it out. But at the moment, we're paying for everything. So, because we're in alpha, we didn't feel it was fair for anyone to pay for anything. We are hosting all the databases for free. So at the moment, basically, you can have sort of 6 projects, and you can invite your team members and get started. So
if people wanted to support the project in terms of being part of the alpha, I mean, obviously, I just literally logged in with my GitHub and I can start using it, right?
Yep.
Sweet. What's other ways that people can contribute to the project now? I know we've got Hacktoberfest coming up.
Yeah, we do.
So would you like to talk about that?
So we've got in fact we've got a Hacktoberfest board and issue boards. So if you go to to our org level, I think it's
cool. Let's have a look.
And then projects. There should be a
Hacktoberfest board. All right, I'm linking this into the chat for everyone.
Now we are still building this out because we're still preparing, but we've basically got a bunch of different types of tasks. So maybe small engineering ones. We put Hacktoberfest as a label, then also the language which you might need to develop it in. Larger engineering tasks. Then we've got stuff for designers, and we'll plan some stuff for writers as well. So it's not just developers who can get involved. But yeah.
Cool. So this is actually something I showed yesterday on my stream. I didn't realize most people didn't know about GitHub project boards. So this is actually probably one of the best ways I've seen project boards used in terms of like Hacktoberfest and getting contributors on board. So I really love this because as a say if I wanted to contribute to Hacktoberfest for the first time, I've just been learning a little bit of Vue.js.
Oh, nice.
So I can go, all right, there's a small task here for Vue. Which is awesome. I can also filter these by label, and I can go Vue.js and look at all the ones that I got Vue.js. Okay, there's one. I can look at, well, labels, but maybe design, because I got for designers.
Nice. That's cool.
We got examples as well.
Yep.
So these are cool. Oh, there you go, Thor Web Dev. You're there, Thor.
Yep. Thor's been amazing.
Thor's in the chat. Well, he's in the chat. You can give a shout out to him right now if you like.
Yeah, well, everyone should Thor's a great dude. He's just been basically contributing. He did all the TypeScript support for our JS, our Supabase JS library, and then he's just been doing live streams. We do this quite cool sort of instant demo where you can deploy a Slack clone, a fully functional Slack clone with real-time auth, everything, and it kind of takes 2 minutes. It's like a one-click deploy with Vercel. So he's been demonstrating it amongst all his live streams. So yeah, shout out to Thor. He's been epic.
Nice work, Thor. Yes, I think this is great for being able to contribute to Hacktoberfest. I think we'll probably end up sharing this example a few times as a way to get involved, because so many times we'll hear people, Thor's put the little love heart in the chat, so many times we'll hear people go, hey, I really want to contribute to Hacktoberfest, I really want to be involved in open source, but either I have no idea where to start, or there's just so much going on, like what do I do? And I think laying it out like in this project board that you've got is just so simple for people. Now, you did mention that you've printed a bunch of Supabase t-shirts, so what are you doing on that front?
Well, we haven't, but that's our goal, basically.
Okay.
We'd love to get to a point where we're doing it now to see if we can distribute it around the world. It's not so easy logistically, but yeah, we would hope that we get them done before Hecktoberfest, and people contributing can get a t-shirt as well, get some swag. We'll have some way of rewarding the people who contribute. But I will say as well, people asking, how do I contribute to Hecktoberfest? I think like it's quite difficult for maintainers to think up small tasks, chunk off, and design a task which might be very approachable. If you're thinking of contributing, I would come in and even ask a question, propose something. So we had, for example, our first intern who came in proposed that he could just do one small thing with Rust, make one of the libraries with Rust. And, we don't want to set up the task and show how you would do it. We just say, yeah, cool, if you want to go off and do it. He actually now is one of our employees because he was kick-ass. But if you're thinking about contributing, just poke around, come up with something. If you're a non-techie, there are plenty of things. You can do design work. You can contribute to the code, to the documentation. You can write a blog post, all sorts of things.
And this is what I love about open source. Most people just think that, open source and programming is all about the programmers and it's all about the people who build this stuff. But as you just mentioned, and you've got columns here for it too, there's so much work for other people to do as well. And I think one of the things that a lot of people forget about, especially when they're developing apps, is like the need for documentation and writers is just so massive, right? And people, they want people who understand the code as well, and who can then go and write something about it, improve it for other people. I mentioned you had such a really great README file. So there's so many ways to get involved if you're not, or even if you are just starting programming, you don't feel confident necessarily in just contributing to the code. There's so many other things you can do. Like, I like this one here, like improve our logo. Just get on and help improve our logo, or create a component library, or, I mean, you haven't built out the documentation part yet, but I'm assuming, like, write some documentation, so.
Exactly. The other thing, because Supabase is, quite generic, another great way to contribute for us is literally just to build something with it. We just got Github Discussions, which I'm pretty excited about. It's a bit empty. I think it's under the Supabase repo.
Okay, let's have a
The
look. That right
pins.
at the top.
Yeah. And then
Discussions! Yay! This is so
So we
exciting.
just got it this week and
Wow,
started.
this looks pretty. You guys have done a lot of work on this. I really like it.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, it's still new, so we've got a lot more to go. But yeah, there's a show and tell section. We've got one. These guys surf the world. Just built this awesome Chrome extension where you can chat to people as you're visiting websites. You can just chat to people
Huh.
as you're surfing around. It's built with Supabase. So these are another way you can just build something and then put it on the show and tell, and that helps us because you'll come across bugs. You can tell us about them, and you can come up with some ideas of what we can build next.
This is so cool. I love all the use of all the emojis.
Yeah.
Yeah, B Dougie's like, my discussions don't even look that good and I work at GitHub. I know, B Dougie, how cool does this look? I'm just like, it looks so nice. So there's a show and tell here. So you've got obviously that's all of them there. Wow, you've done a really, really good job. I really like the layout. It looks so nice. It's easy to use. Like again, if I was first time contributor, I'd be looking at this going, wow, this doesn't just look easy to get involved in and well organized. It also looks fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want when you're trying to like attract people to it. Like how do you break out from the noise, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this one, so we'll actually center everything around our GitHub. A lot of people come in and say, "Oh, do you have a community Slack?" But actually, we'll use this as our forum. So if you're wanting to get involved in any way, you can even just start asking questions on there, and we'll answer them. And it's a good way just to slowly get yourself embedded in the community, and then you can grow into maybe contributing as well.
Yeah, nice. Now for web dev, I have untimed you, but our bot timer gets rid of URLs. So if you'd like a URL, we'll post them all here. Either myself or B Dougie. We'll post any URLs here, but I'll try and keep on banning you, Thor.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looks so pretty. I love it. It looks great. I think B Dougie, we definitely need to get some take some ideas from this. It looks so nice and so easy.
Well, shout out to GitHub. I think they set up most of the categories and things. So, and even just the concept of discussions, it automatically cleans up our issues as well. We move sort of long-standing Q&As. We've got this one where you can vote for libraries, which is actually quite interesting, seeing what everyone's voting for, like different client libraries. And that one's kind of like a long-standing. So this is databases, but if you go back, the libraries one is client libraries.
Right, libraries. Okay.
Yeah. So it's super interesting what people are voting for.
Oh, this
Python.
is so cool.
And this was an issue, but of course it's not supposed to be a GitHub issue. It's just where people can come in and say, I love Dart, for example, is one of the most popular upvoted. And so it's great for a discussion, much better than a issue template. Yeah.
And this is one of the main reasons why we brought in discussions, right? Is because we noticed that there was all these discussions going on in issues. And it's like, that shouldn't be in an issue. Like an issue was originally designed for you to like call out issues within your code. So, and this is what I love about it. And you've probably, I'm not sure if you noticed yet, but with the discussions and issues, if there's an issue and it's open and it starts turning into a discussion, you can convert it to a discussion. And vice versa. So if you're having a discussion about something, you're like, oh, this should be a feature, then you can then convert that into an issue, so you can go and create that straight away. So
yeah, that's very cool.
I mean, I'm not on the discussions team, so I like talking about how amazing our discussions team is. But they've done a brilliant job on this, and yeah, this is a really good showcase of it. So well done.
Agreed.
I really like it. Now, something I did want to ask about is, under a lot of your issues, do you have good first issues set up?
Probably all of them are just tagged as Hecktoberfest at the moment.
Okay, yep.
So we do, we will get much better at this, but we're basically tagging, Hacktoberfest for anything where you can get involved. And on the board, it'll be sort of the smaller tasks that are good first issues. We also put a language. So some of, GoTrue is written in Go. Our real-time server is written in Elixir. A lot of our client libraries are written in JavaScript. So we'll just start tagging. We already have started tagging the language. So if you want to contribute to a specific language, or you're a specialist in a specific language, then you'll be able to filter by that as well.
So that's what we can do here. So we can go label. Let's try Go. It's probably
on our. So that's the other thing. Our repos are very sprawling.
Okay.
Because we've basically got so many different bits of architecture. Each one of those, each one of the bits that we talked about at the start, Postgres, GoTrue. We've got client libraries for each one of them, and we put them into their own repository, and they're all automated. So the documentation, the testing, all using GitHub Actions. So to do that, we split it out. We originally had a mono repo, but we decided we'd split it out into many sprawling repos. And then, so you'll have to dig around. But the easiest way is to use the project board and find issues. You can just jump out to the repo from there.
Sounds good. Now, I've got a couple of questions in the chat. You've said that Supabase is coded in a number of different languages, and we saw a couple of people upvoted Dart. So someone's asking, is there any Dart coding in Supabase at all?
Any Dart CRUD, did you say?
Any Dart coding? Dart language?
So we just had the first, basically what we've got is a Supabase JS library, which is made up of 3 different sub-libraries. So you can see we're doing it in a very open source way, but the sub-libraries are GoTrue JS, and then we've got Postgrest JS, and then we've got Realtime JS. And each one of these you can use as standalone for the other servers. So one of the ways that we support the other communities. And all of these get rolled up into one master library called Supabase JS. Mm-hmm. We just had the first contributor contribution for Dart, which is the Postgrest Dart library the other day. And actually, it was by one of our team members. We have Dog Fooding Friday, where you can just work on anything. And they decided,
food?
Yeah.
Why is it dog food?
Or dog fooding, you build something that you're going to use yourself. So we dog food everything inside. We use Supabase to build Supabase, and then on Fridays you can build projects on top of Supabase, so you learn what to improve next. So we call it Dog Fooding Friday. I got to be honest, most of the time people are just working on the tasks on work, but they're allowed to work on whatever. So last Friday one of the team members spent Dog Fooding Friday doing a Dart library for Postgrest, which is pretty cool. And you can just follow our spec for Postgres JS, and then you just copy it into the other library, the other language.
And that's what I like about GitHub as well. So obviously if you go to any repository, it'll show you the languages that are used. Now obviously when you look at JavaScript, it's 72.6%, but JavaScript has a lot of sub-libraries underneath it. So obviously, you Vue, React, all those kind of... So that's the annoying thing about that, is you can't see... I don't think you can break down into the percentage.
The reason is because this one is actually just our sort of website and docs, this repo.
Okay, right.
And then you've got to go off to find the other, you've got to explore a little bit around our repositories. So the real-time one is full Elixir.
Yep, there you go. And obviously a little bit of, there's your front end there.
Yeah, we've got an example, some make files, and some posts. We use a lot of Docker Compose to make sure that everything's easy to stitch together. So we've got individual repos for each one. We've got a fork of GoTrue. We're just doing some improvements to push back. And then Postgres as well is another great one. So if you have never used Postgres before and you're wondering, how do I get started? We were actually the first. I was really surprised, but in March this year, no one had put Postgres into the DigitalOcean marketplace as a one-click deploy. Mm-hmm. So we actually started by pushing that in, and it's got all the extensions that you need. So you can, use PostGIS. You can use, you can code in PLVA, PL, Python. We just add a bunch of really useful extensions. pgtat for unit testing, Postgres. But if you want to get started with Postgres, I'd say our repo is probably one of the easiest. You can just get started using a Docker file, and you're up and running in just a couple of seconds.
It's pretty good. I mean, that's one of the blockers, right? Is not just where do I start? But then once I've figured out where to start is then how do I start? And I suppose for a lot of devs, new contributors, if you can't get over that initial roadblock of basically what you want is one click and then you got the environment ready to go, right? So once you can get over that, it's really good. So it's great that you've got it on the DigitalOcean Marketplace. One click, was it?
Yep, one click deploy for the Postgrest database.
That's really, really cool. All right, so with Hacktoberfest coming up, I just want to go back a little bit because it is Hacktoberfest in like on my side and on your side, it's like 5 days. But for everyone in America, it's like 6 days. We're just like we're the cool kids living in the future, right? So it is only 5 days away, and we're all really excited for it. What are your kind of like expectations for Hacktoberfest, being that this is the first time you'll be doing it as Supabase?
Yeah, well, and actually it's the first time I've done it ever, so I don't really know what to expect, I have to be honest. I just think what would be awesome is if people were jumping in, just commenting, just getting involved, really. I think, for every person who's a core contributor, there's like a lot of people just on the periphery kind of watching. It'd be nice if those, even just the watchers, the lurkers in Reddit terms, become, sort of, they might just comment or add an emoji to the discussions or do anything to get involved. I think that'd be nice, just ease their way into it. I think, in terms of being a contributor, if you want to move from being like a lurk, you might have contributed a little bit to getting involved in Supabase. We'll make that super easy, but it'll be harder for the people who just have never done anything, and it's up to them just to get involved and find some small way to contribute, because our issues probably will be a bit big for a lot of people. And actually, they're going fast. Like I just put one up this morning, and someone already said they want to solve it. I think it was 10 minutes later.
Wow, that's quick.
So we'll probably run out of things on the board. So I think it's just up to people to come up with ideas of how to get involved with the community. And we're super open. We're very friendly. Would love for anyone to come in, even if you're brand new, you've never done Postgres, don't worry about it. We'll help you through it. You've never done JavaScript, we'll help you through that. You want to do docs, we'll help you get involved with that as well. Actually, I've got a question for you on that one.
Yeah, sure.
I saw just yesterday GitHub brought the code spaces.
Yeah.
And would that be a good way for people to, what I'm thinking is, if they spot a problem with our documentation, could they spin it up and make edits to our documentation directly using code spaces, or is that not a good use case?
I'm going to throw that one to B Dougie on that, but for those of you who don't know about code spaces, basically what code spaces allows, and this is why I'm asking BW about whether documentation would be the best thing to do in code spaces or whether it's better doing something else. Basically what code spaces does is it spins up an entire virtual environment for you to start contributing and making changes to a project immediately. So what it'll do, it'll spin up this virtual machine for you, and then once you've got that, it'll install every dependency. Every action will get initialized on there. Everything you need to get started will just happen on there. So if I spin up mine in code spaces, I don't have right access to the repository.
Okay.
And I also have a limit of 2. But basically, the last time I did it, it took about a whole maybe 10 to 20 seconds to spin up a virtual environment and be able to do this. So the question, B Dougie, was with code spaces coming out in beta and more available, and there is also a dev container feature. Paul's question was, is spinning up a code space environment useful for contributing to back to documentation? I mean, my initial thought would be it's better for contributing back to code, and documentation is often better on other platforms because you don't need to have all the dependencies installed to be able to do documentation. But I'm going to throw that one to BW because he's been working a lot more on code spaces than I have.
Okay.
But we absolutely love code spaces. I know a lot of people here are loving it too. So code spaces, if you've got access to code spaces beta, is a great opportunity to try it out during Hacktoberfest. And BDoggie's on the same wavelength, and it just depends on how complicated the docs are.
Yeah, okay. We actually use, Docusaurus. It's just markdown docs. But yeah, I think it would be a great way even to get people we've got Docker Compose files because our stack is like usually a database, then some middleware, and then maybe an example on top. It'd be a great way for people to spin up our examples and get running directly from the GitHub would be pretty cool. But we'll see. We'll play around with them, and hopefully we'll have something for Hacktoberfest if it is a good use case. But otherwise, yeah, for Hecktoberfest, I have no expectations. I just love for the community to get involved, and we'll try support the community to get involved however we can.
Yeah, I love that Vito said having an environment is pretty baller. You can pretty much do anything like from it, right? You can fork the node and have the test suite up and running like straight away, which is what I love about it.
Yeah.
Now I know some of you are really excited for Code Spaces, so keep an eye out. It's coming soon, and it's gonna be really good. Now there was something you mentioned. Oh, actually, that's what I really want to riff on a little bit. Is we often talk about one of the reasons for getting involved in open source is not only you're contributing back to the community, but you're learning a lot. And you're hearing from a maintainer like Paul here who's saying, we're here to help you. If you want to learn some JavaScript, we'll help you. If you want to learn, I've done Postgrest before, we'll help you. And I love the fact that you are saying that because we often say to people, come to a hackathon because you'll learn something you can learn from other people, or, contribute to open source because you'll learn something. They're like, will I really learn something? And it's like, yes, the maintainers are here. They're telling you they will teach you. So yeah. I just want to thank you for that, which is really cool. So yes.
I think especially for us, our unique sort of value prop is if you've ever wanted to use Postgrest, which is just a kick-ass tool. Honestly, in terms of open source tools, it's got to be one of the best in the world. They release faster than any sort of closed source. They just released PG-13 last night. I think only 3 months after releasing, or maybe 6 months after releasing PG-12. But if you ever wanted to get involved with Postgres, we make it super easy to get involved with Postgres and to start using it. And you can just sort of start on easy mode, and then basically when you sign up for our dashboard, we've got this sort of, it kind of looks like Airtable. You can get involved setting up tables, you can filter and everything. And then as you go down the icons on the side, you basically get to the full Postgres database where you can query it and you can edit it. So you can start just dabbling into Postgres, and honestly, it's one of these tools which I think will never go away. It's just if you get to enterprise grade, it's still a very valuable tool. So everything from startup just to enterprise are using Postgres, worth learning, and we're here to help you learn that.
Sounds great. Now I've just got up, so as B-Doggy mentioned, if you ever want to see anything, we've got our GitHub public roadmap. So we just launched this not that long ago, literally a few weeks ago, maybe even only just 15 days or something like that was updated. But basically we now have a public roadmap for all our releases. And all I did was I just filtered and just typed in Code Spaces to see when the public availability for Code Spaces will be. And it's set for Q4. So any time between Hacktoberfest and the end of the year, basically. But if you're keen on looking at Code Spaces, you can jump into the issue here. So you can click that, and it will just give you like a little bit of a summary of Code Spaces, how's it going to work, and then you can see here that it is on the Q4 for 2020. So it's coming soon. Keep an eye out. I don't have a set date for you, but it's going to be exciting to have it available to all of you. Now, Paul, I want to backtrack just a little bit. We've talked a lot about Supabase. We've talked about how Supabase came about. It's new. It's exciting. We've got Hacktoberfest coming up. Lots of people are hopefully going to contribute to your project now after seeing this and how pretty the discussions and the roadmap look. The README looks. But let's talk a little bit about you. So how did you get into programming? We talked about how Supabase started, but how did you get into programming originally? You're from New Zealand. That's not exactly the easiest place to get started. So
that's true. They don't even know what a startup is in New Zealand. Honestly, when I go back,
they're getting better. They're getting better. Yeah.
I gotta say, it's been a while since I was back working, but originally, actually, I think I started way back on like Dreamweaver days, where you'd sort of use a WYSIWYG to code things, and you'd code everything via FTP. You'd literally be updating it on the server. So I've been doing tech for 15 years now. I started, I think, around 18. And then like one day someone said, oh, can you build build sort of a dashboard for, it was actually, this is not surprising for New Zealand. It was like an ag tech. It's sort of working in agriculture. What they wanted was a live updating. Funny, it's real time. I didn't really think about this, but they wanted a real time dashboard of some events happening. Ag tech. It was actually working in abattoirs. They wanted it sort of like a live updating dashboard for their farmers to log in and see pricing and things like that. This is bizarre to say, but it was built in Cold Fusion. I'd be surprised if anyone even knows it. It's like this Adobe server-side language, but it built very nicely with Flash graphs and things like that. So that's how I started, and I ended up sort of just contracting all throughout my uni. I started just working, and then by my final year, I was pretty much just working full time, and uni was kind of a side gig. And from there, I just carried on. I went into programming for hedge funds for a while. Unfortunately, I did a stint with consulting, doing project delivery in Australia, actually, with Accenture.
Go Accenture.
In Sydney, not Melbourne, but yeah, that was cool. Worth doing because it helps you learn sort of corporate and the reasons why you'd probably never enjoy that life. So I moved out of that and I got into startups, and yeah, I started. This is now my third startup.
That was going to be my next question. How many startups have you been on now?
Yeah.
How'd the other two go? Are they still going?
Yeah, they are actually. So the first startup was I was in Sydney, and I had a contract for the Australian government, and they said to me, because you got the job, but I went in and they said, because you're a Kiwi, we have to give you approval that you can work in this government job and that an Australian can't do it. And in that week, I had this guy text me and he sent me a photo of this pool. He was living in Kuala Lumpur, and he had this condo that he was living in, and it had like a pool on the roof with palm trees. And he's like, wouldn't you rather build a startup with me than work for the Australian government? So I literally just jumped on a plane the next day and flew to Malaysia. And that was, yeah, I probably visited that pool maybe twice. And
so you took the job for the pool and only went there twice in 5-6 years now?
Well, startups are all consuming, right? They just
tell me about it. I think I'm on my like 5th or 6th now. I kind of lose count, but yeah.
They I don't know if they get easier. Well, not in terms of the amount of work. Definitely, it's always just a million tasks that you need to do. You just kind of come to expect the grind, I think.
That they get easier in terms of knowing where to cut corners and knowing who to go to and what to do. I think, that was one of the reasons when we got to my current startup we are now. It's like, cool, we've done this a few times before now. We know exactly who to go for what. This, and this, and we know you've got all the contacts as well and the connections. And I think that's a massive thing, not just in the startup world having those connections and networks, but also in as a developer and working in tech. I mean, that's one of the things why we encourage people to work on open source, is because you meet other really cool people. And if you didn't know your mate who had this fancy condo, you'd probably be still stuck working for the Australian government, right?
Exactly.
Hopefully not, but
it was actually quite hard to sort of break into startups, especially New Zealand, Australia. I knew I wanted to sort of work in startups and not just do corporate tech. It was quite hard. Definitely, if I was to start over and I was thinking how to do it, I would just become a contributor to an open source tool and get involved that way. Or if you are thinking about getting started, even to start your own startup, I'd highly recommend just joining one for approaching any startup and saying, hey, I'll intern for you for free for 3 months, or do whatever you can to work in there. And you'll learn so much just from, absorbing. In 3 months, you'll learn all the lessons that you as a founder would have to learn yourself.
Exactly. And I was going to say, it costs the same amount of money, but it's actually it costs less because as a founder, you're the one spending all the money.
Yeah. Usually they'll pay you, but what is your startup at the moment?
So I've got an electric scooter company. We make high-powered, smart, safe electric scooters, like kickstand type ones that you ride on. So We've got ours coming out for delivery in like a few weeks actually, which is really cool.
Wow,
we
nice.
did a Kickstarter in November last year, so
Okay.
really
Very
exciting.
cool.
So yeah, that's the current one anyway. So.
Okay. In Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yeah. Well, actually,
yeah.
all of us are in Melbourne. The 3 founders are in Melbourne. Our marketing team is here in Melbourne. We've got a few others in the peripheries, but then our factory is over in China. So that's been fun working remotely, which is actually going to be the next question I was going to ask. And we've got a couple of questions in the chat. Is your whole team for Supabase based in Singapore, or are you remotely distributed?
All remotely. So the most of them are here, but we never see each other. We're fully remote. No, and you can hang out here in Singapore now, but
dang, I'll come to Singapore then.
Yeah, you should. It's awesome. Tropical
I
paradise.
have been there twice. I actually really like Singapore, so next time I'm coming, we'll catch up.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we're fully remote. So we've got I mentioned the maintainer of Postgrest. He's based in Peru. We've got a guy in New Zealand, a guy in London. Most of us here in Singapore, but we don't care where you live. In fact, we sort of encourage that you have this mindset that if you join us, you can live anywhere and you might want to live anywhere. We're still figuring out sort of our wage model, but we think that what we'll do is just, it's a new world. We'll play flat salaries, based on levels. And then if you want to live anywhere, you want to live in Bali and reap the benefits of wage arbitrage, then go for it. And if you want to move, that's fine. We don't care where you will move. We'll try to help support that.
That's pretty cool. And I kind of hinted that you were all remote because you're asking what video game to play with everyone remotely. So
exactly.
The other really good one, how big is your team at the moment actually?
Yeah, 8 by head count. A couple of them are actually interns. They are Singapore interns. They came in. Actually, one of them or 2 of them are my interns from previous companies who are studying. And then when we got into YC, we just had like 100 days for demo day, and it happened to coincide with their break for uni. So they just worked their ass off through the 100 days to hit our demo day, and they're back at uni for their final year. But they're still kind of working part-time so that when they come out of uni, they can hit the ground running full time. But yeah,
really
we'll be looking to double the team. We particularly if you're maybe a site reliability engineer, developer advocates, or community contributors, people like this we're interested in. Postgres people, anyone who is experienced Postgres, mainly to stabilize our platform.
So if everyone's looking for a job, hit up Paul. But I was going to say...
Elixir as well. I know everyone's excited about Elixir. So we've got this Elixir real-time server. So if you want to start getting involved with that, please do reach out.
Well, I was going to say, so you got 8 people in your team, right? You know that's the perfect number to play Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, like that's true.
Smash Bros is 8 maximum, and Mario Kart you can play up to 12 online, so...
Okay.
Go check it out. There's also a really, really cool... so we've got a bank here in Melbourne called Up Banking, which is a very, edgy kind of startup. And they built an open source tool, which you can actually find on GitHub, for tracking your Mario Kart stats. So over the course of the race, it'll give you a graph of, who's been in first at what time, when items hit and dropped. It's pretty fun. And we've got a couple of people in the chat saying, Up Banking is definitely the bomb. So... that's a good one to do because you can create some really fun, it's obviously all using code as well as be like, all right, tell us what's happening with the code here. Or you can just go play Mario Kart because it's fun. Now I have a couple other questions. So obviously you went to uni in New Zealand, I'm going to say.
I did, yep.
Now I know the person who's asked this is from New Zealand, so asking what university you went to in New Zealand.
I went to the University of Canterbury.
Yep.
So I went to school in Christchurch, and then I studied, actually there wasn't really a full IT degree. It was like a Bachelor of Commerce and sort of finance, accounting and information systems. So that's what I studied.
Well, that's all perfect for being a startup now because you get a bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
And you did mention that while you were going through uni, you actually did quite a lot of internships or other jobs on the side, right? And you ended up just doing uni part-time as a side gig.
Basically,
What are some of your recommendations? Oh, he's saying, cool, it's in Quake City. Nice.
earthquakes. Yeah, exactly.
So what are some of your recommendations for people who are going through uni? You said, go get an internship for 3 months. Do you reckon people are able to do that during university? What kind of tips do you have for university people who are maybe studying engineering or IT and want to get into either developer or startups?
Yeah, I mean, hard to generalize this depending on your location if you want to get a physical job somewhere. So, if you're a developer, I'd say the world's your oyster, right? You can literally, start contributing to an open source tool anywhere. You can actually reach out to startups around the world, and now everyone's open to up. I mean, even VCs are coming to the idea of a remote first world. So, it's probably even easier if you are if you're a developer, and even so if you're just not a developer, you want to contribute. Startups are always, they will always take people on. So I think, yeah, if you want to get involved and you're studying, just start reaching out to people and find something that you want to actually work on. I think that's one of the keys. Don't just spray and pray everywhere. Just find something. And usually, you know if you're messaging me, you probably have to take a few tries because I don't read my emails and I try to focus on my coding. But yeah, if you're emailing a top level CEO, maybe you can email someone a couple of levels or like a periphery team member, or message them and get in touch with them and find out how you can get involved. That might be a good way into most organizations.
Sounds good. So basically what we were saying before, just network. Just start and then just start networking. Just message people, hit people up. Yeah, as you said, I've found that most engineers or technical people, whether it's physically technical or digitally technical, if they're the founder and the CEO, then you're going to have to try a fair few times to get them. But most people are pretty good at responding. This is what I love about this digital world, right? Is that no one is untouchable. You can message anyone on LinkedIn, Twitter, even Instagram. I get people who've been messaging me on Instagram about really? Can we sponsor a hackathon? I'm like, how do you find me on Instagram? Like,
crazy.
So I think that's what you just need to do, right? And you've summarized it perfectly too. Is just go and start something. If there's something that you're interested in, whether it's Postgrest, whether it's Elixir, whether it's JavaScript, whether it's Python, just go find a project. Preferably with a pretty README file and an amazing discussion board. Go and find a project and just start contributing to. So I think, those are great. And we've got we're pretty much on time. Are there any last minute thoughts that you'd like to say to anyone? Top tips, shout outs, anything like that, Paul, while we get out any last minute questions coming through from the chat?
I can't think of anything in particular, but yeah, I mean, shout out to everyone who's so far got involved and started building, because, we're in alpha, takes a bit of bravery, especially if people are building, live products in production with us. So I just want to shout out to a lot of these people, and there's been many, and really because our platform is quite generic, you can build sort of anything on it. You've seen everything from agencies coming in to, the Chrome extensions that I told you before, marketplaces. So shout out to those people in particular who have a Substack clone even. And usually what we'll do is, if you are building something like that and you need support, we'll invite you into our private chat and we'll try help support. So I think most of all, just shout out to the community who has helped us out so far, and just being patient and got involved.
Amazing. So, and again, be patient, get involved in Hacktoberfest, get involved in Supabase. It's really fun. I want to thank you so much, Paul, for giving up some of your time to be with us.
Oh, thanks, Mish.
Today. Yep. It was really fun. And anyone, if you have any suggestions on really cool video games to play remotely with your team, Paul is all ears.
Yes.
So maybe if you have a suggestion for that and you want a job, might be good to hit him up with both at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We hope that everything goes amazing for Hacktoberfest. We wish you all the best. You've come so far in such a short space of time. We can't wait for the beta to be released for Supabase.
Cool. Thanks, Mish. And thanks for everyone for dialing in.
Thanks, Paul. All right. So we hope you found that such a treat to chat to someone who's so passionate about the project they're building. I can't believe they've only just started it in January this year. It's just come so far since then. Again, we highly encourage you to contribute to Hacktoberfest. It starts in 5-6 days, depending on, actually no, it starts at 6 days anyway, because it starts on the 2nd for us over here, living in the future. We always get the short end of the stick living in the future. But yeah, get on to Hacktoberfest, sign up, contribute to some amazing projects. You know, Supabase has got that really, really beautiful project board that you can go and look at to, you know, get all the ideas for contributing. I want to thank you all so much for being here. As B-Doggy mentioned, he's put my Twitch link in the chat. If you ever want to follow along for some coding, feel free. I've been learning a bit of Vue.js. We did some GitHub, CLI, project boards, and desktop yesterday, as well as some C#. So follow on. Also follow B-Doggy because he does some amazing stuff over on his channel for coding as well. Make sure you follow the GitHub Twitch channel here if you're not already following. Thank you so much to everyone who's followed today. We have so many of you following along, which is amazing. And don't forget to be back next week. So the whole month of October, we're running these open source Friday streams twice a week. We'll be doing one on the APAC time zone and one on the US time zone. So join B-Doggy for the US time zone and me for the APAC. In the meantime, happy Friday to all those living in the future here in APAC. Happy late Thursday night to everyone else over on the Northern Hemisphere side of things. Thank you all for tuning in and being with us here today, and we can't wait to see you all next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.